Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. My name is Sarah Johnson. I'm the Agent Ambassador with Appulate. I also have Vanessa Juliar-Kamara, who is our Director of Customer Development with Appulate here with us today. Like I said, thank you all so much for joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started. Just some webinar logistics before we get into the remainder of the webinar. All attendees will be muted due to the size of the webinar. Questions will not be taken during the webinar. Please hold all questions until the end. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Please feel free to type in any questions in the questions section of your viewer screen. The webinar is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel, Appulate Inc., by the end of the day. The training and webinar will be roughly 45 to 60 minutes, depending on the amount of questions that we have. All right, so a little bit about Appulate. Appulate started in 2005 in Westlake Village. Appulate is a submission management program here to empower you as the agents to not only simplify your submission process, but expand your markets, automate your workflow, and save you time and money. The webinar today is going to be on ProducerConnect Premium. So this is going to be the full version of Appulate, all the bells and whistles, the different types of submissions that you can do, but a little bit more about Appulate. And you'll see everything as we go on into the training here in just a few minutes. But Appulate is complementary to any agency management system, but you can also use Appulate even if you didn't have an agency management system, but it does bridge over Accord data directly into the Appulate system. No need to rekey any Accord data. Our system does read the Accord, so it will take the information from those Accords and put them into the Appulate system. We also have the forms filler feature available, which I will show you just a little bit later in the demo. You'll see as we add various markets, there might be supplemental applications that are attached to those markets. They will be filled out automatically as well as we go through our submission. We do our trainings on work comp. You will notice that today, and one of the many questions that we get is why do we do work comp as opposed to other lines of business. The work comp line of business does have an additional feature within the Appulate system, and it's because we have a real-time work comp comparative rater, which you will see that when we go through our training. Also part of ProducerConnect Premium is the automated loss run request, which we call our loss runner feature. I will show that to you a little bit later. We also have an expansive market list. So we'll go over markets just a little bit, and then I can definitely give more information one-on-one later. ProducerConnect Premium does have a minimal support and monthly fee. If you have any questions regarding pricing, please feel free to contact me directly. My contact information will be available at the end of the demo today. So let's go right into training. So I'm switching over to my Accord form, and this is just a standard Accord form. I don't have an agency management system. It's simply an Accord 130. There's absolutely nothing else attached to it. No 125, no 133, simply just the Accord that you see here. Now you do need to download Appulate Uplink from the Appulate system in order to bridge over this data that you see here, and I'll show you where to locate that a little bit later. But once you do, you'll see that when we click on print and we locate Appulate Uplink in the list of printer options, you will now see that it's available. You can go ahead and click print, or for other folks that simply have a native Accord on their desktop, you can right click, select Uplink. Either way you get to it, whether it's from your agency management system, a native Accord like you had seen here on my desktop, the results are going to be the same. You're simply going to go ahead and hit send. It's going to automatically open up Appulate, sign you in. You're going to confirm the line of business that you are working on. In this instance, this is work comp, so we're just going to go ahead and click continue. And the system's going to default you to our master Q&A screen. So before we get into the meat of the submission, and this is actually where that's going to be, I'm going to go over a couple of the key tools and features just on the side of our webinar, or the Appulate form here. First is the form section. You're going to see that this section has actually already changed. This is that Accord 130 that we uploaded, but you're going to also see that there's now a 125 and a 133 here as well. This is simply just because the system is like, hey, you know, you're working on work comp, you're probably going to need these forms as well. So it's already added those. We'll revisit this section a little bit later because I do want to show you how it's changed. The Appulate system is live and dynamic. So as you select various markets, answer questions, there will be results that can occur per those actions. Next is the last run section. We're not going to spend too much time here because I'm going to revisit this a little bit later. Next is the document section. So this is where you're going to upload any documents for an Appulate style submission. Work comp, for an example, say you have an XMod worksheet that needs to accompany this particular submission. You would simply hit select or drag and drop the file here. Next is our notes section, and there are two parts to this. First is the shared notes section, but you'll also note a private notes section. Now, private notes are simply for you as the agent. Say you're working on a submission in advance, and you'd like to pre-type out a narrative. You can do that here. I'm going to go ahead and hit add. You're going to see that a timestamp log has now been added to your notes section, but this is simply for you, so these notes aren't going to go anywhere. But say you're ready to go through and process that submission, you can simply hit the little unlock button that you see here, select OK, and now that note or narrative or whatever communications you have that may want to go to that underwriter will show up here. You can also edit and delete in both sections. Just keep in mind that shared notes are shared with your underwriter, so these are going to be notes for that particular communication. Next is the activities section. And I won't spend too much time here because we are going to revisit it a little bit later, but this is a full timestamp log of everything that has occurred thus far, full activity type, the user that performed that action, and any supporting comments. Next is the options tab, and this is the last tab that we're going to go over before we get into the meat of our submission. But if you needed to edit any producer or CSR information, this is where you would do that. Also, if you wanted to create renewals, this is where you would trigger those renewals. But now we're going to go back to our master Q&A section, and this is where we're going to be doing, the majority of our submission. But as you can see here, we currently don't have any markets selected. So although our information has been bridged over, it's very key that we go through and add our markets. Now, keep in mind that the markets that I will be adding here in just a second are coming from our selected market list. And I'll go over our markets briefly just a little bit later so you can understand how to move markets from available to selected. So we're going to go through and we're going to add ACE. ACE will represent our email submission that we'll be doing today. AmTrust will represent our Weblink submission. Arrowhead is going to represent our e-submission type. And finally, Westlake GA is going to represent our Appulate submission type. And you're going to notice that each of these submission types have icons next to them. You can hover over any icon in Appulate and it will tell you exactly what that icon does. So it's a very helpful, very key feature. But the first one we're going to focus on is the Appulate style submission. And for those who have been using Appulate in the past, you'll notice a change that has occurred that is new within the Appulate system. If a particular market supports instant quoting for that line of business that you're working on, you'll now notice that in addition to the clover, you'll have a little lightning bolt. This is a very exciting feature that we had recently launched. But to get more into the Appulate style submission, this particular market, Westlake GA, this is an MGA. It participates in what we call market transparency. So you may notice that with some MGAs that you work with, you'll see that there's a little drop-down arrow that may or may not automatically open. Just keep in mind that you can click and open any of these drop-downs that you see here that have a little arrow. With this MGA and that market transparency, we are able to select and deselect various markets that we would want that particular MGA to go to on our behalf. So in this instance, the system automatically defaulted to ICW and Encino. For the purposes of the demo, I'm just going to deselect ICW for now. We're going to focus on Encino. You'll also note that in our status bar, once we added all of those markets, the status bar for every single one of those says not submitted yet or not quoted. Let the status bar here be your absolute best friend. If you want to know where something is in the status of a submission, if you've actually submitted it or not, look at your status bar. And you'll see as I go through the submission and submit the various markets that status bar will change. But first off, let's also take a look at these letter indicators. You'll see one next to the markets that do participate in them. In this instance, Westlake GA, we are getting a red D for decline. And this is just because I do this demo all day long and I really just locked myself out. So hovering over this, you can click on any of these live and dynamic links and it will take you to that section. I'm going to go ahead and give it an FEIN that it likes. And as you can see, as soon as I do, you get a pop-up here that says, hey, now that we are good to go, that declination has been taken away. We need to go through and answer missing and required questions in order to proceed with our submission. Appulate has actually provided Two different workflows to this. We understand that not everybody likes to code the same. So if you prefer not to go through the live and dynamic links way, you're more than welcome to use these tabs that you see down here. This is just saying that in the subject section, there's one missing and required question that must be addressed before you can proceed. Simply scroll through that section, find the highlighted question that you see here. Well, they will have a red asterisk next to it. Answer that question. The red asterisk will disappear as soon as you answer that question. The number will then disappear next to the tab. And then that question will no longer show up in the live and dynamic links way. So when getting started, feel free to kind of play with that, see which way works best for you. Like I said, not everybody seems to work the same, which is why we provided 2 ways of answering missing and required questions. But for now, I'm going to use a live and dynamic links. This is my preferred way of working through the Appulate system. So I'm going to go through and answer these questions, get us through our submission. All right, and the very next question I'm actually going to use as an example. So percentage of employee housing. Say I answered this question as 5%. In this instance, you'll get a pop-up, and that's because of the way I answered this question. The way I answered this question triggered a referral to underwriting, and the system is notifying you. You'll also see that there's now an orange U instead of an orange A. If you hover over it, again, you'll see the reasoning as to why it's been referred to underwriting. If this is a mistake, simply click on the question. It will give you that live and dynamic link again. You can go ahead and answer it to move forward with your submission. All right, now if we hover back over that letter indicator, you'll see that we have answered all of our missing and required questions. However, there's one more thing we need to do in order to move forward with the submission, and that is upload our loss runs. You'll also see that there's now a red asterisk next to the loss run section. We're going to click on that, and this is where we're going to go ahead and upload our loss run. So one of the key features of ProducerConnect Premium is our loss runner feature, and you can access that by clicking the little envelope that you see here with the blue arrow next to it that says send request. The pop-up is going to come up in just a second with a letter of authorization. Now, there's a couple of other different options, but this is the default option. This is going to pull over your insured's information here. This is the information for the market that you are requesting loss runs from. Any section that you see also that has an edit section, so say you know that maybe a fax number has changed. Feel free to go in and add new or adjust that fax number and continue and proceed. Also, this is the loss and request information that you see here. This is being pulled over from our accord. However, you can go in and edit this information as well. This is a copy of the letter that is being sent to your insured. Your insured will then sign this, and this request will be then sent to that market that you're requesting the loss runs from. If you had the contact automatically in the section, it will populate here. In this case, I would need to edit that because it is red. I would need to go in and add a contact in order to send this request out. As soon as you do, you will be able to proceed with requesting those loss runs. In addition to the letter of authorization, we also have a broker record letter available that you can use. And any of these particular letters, you can see what's being sent out. We also have an agency loss and request letter and an insured loss and request letter. Something else I do really like to point out and mention is we do have the follow-up feature that you see down here. Now, those loss runs may not be sent back to you directly. Depending on the letter that you use, they could be sent back to your insured directly. So this is a great way to ensure that the system sends you a reminder saying, say you change this to 5 days. In 5 days, if you have not yet received those loss runs, this will remind you, hey, reach back out to your insured, see if they received those loss runs, so that you can get them back to you. Loss runs do not come back through the Appulate system. They will either come to you or your insured directly based off of the letter that you choose. In this case, I already have the loss runs, so I'm simply going to click the little upload button, pull the loss runs from just a document folder that I have on my desktop, select open, and you'll see that that's now been time-stamped and uploaded into the system. And also, we have a little pop-up saying, hey, Westlake GA has accepted this particular risk. We can now go through and click our submit button to get a quote. I also do want to point out to those folks, again, who have used Appulate in the past, you may have noticed that the submit button has changed. We listen to agent feedback all the time, and one of the main pieces of feedback that we got was we needed a more defined submit button, so we have made that change. It's no longer a little blue arrow, it's just a plain submit button, which should hopefully make it easier for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and go through and submit this. So just note that you'll see my status bar change here. Again, a really key feature to know where you are in a submission. I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. You'll see that this is now a bindable quote. So we can view this, open it, pull it. This is a bindable quote from Westlake GA through Encino. There's also a couple other options that you can do. If I had an appointment with this market, I would be able to go in and bind directly. You'll see that there's a little hand right here. This is our bind button. But in my case, because I don't have an appointment with this market, I would have to go through their appointment process first. If you click on this, you can go through, this particular market supports the e-appointment, so you can go through the e-appointment process directly within the Appulate system. You also have the option to email this particular proposal out if you'd like, as well as a send to sign feature. Now, all of our signatures are done through Adobe signatures, so they are legal and binding. Simply click on the send to sign feature, select the applicant from the list. It will populate that form and automatically send it to them. They can sign via their phone, a mobile device, computer, whatever is convenient for them. As soon as they sign that form, you will be notified via email, and you'll be able to get back into the Appulate system and either pull that form or finish the binding process. So that is an Appulate style submission. We're now going to move on to our e-submission type, which is going to be represented by arrowhead that you see here. Now, both Appulate submission and e-submission types, these particular markets are markets that we have partnered with. However, what makes e-submission types different is this particular market has their own portal that they want to continue using, and that's absolutely fine. So what Appulate is going to do is screen scrape all of the information that you've entered within the Appulate system that's duplicate to that particular market that you're submitting to, and populate it into that form. So we're going to go ahead and hit submit, and you'll see a gray box is going to pop up that says complete submission. You'll see our status bar that says submission initiated. However, it is very key that you click on complete submission so that Appulate can open up that carrier portal, screen scrape the information from the Appulate system, and put it into that particular carrier portal, as well as, you know, log you in. You're not having to do that by hand. Any profile information will also be merged over for the insured. So you'll see that pop up. This is that carrier profile, so please keep that in mind that you are now quoting outside of the Appulate system. Any information, like I said, that's duplicate has now been bridged over. You will simply click through the screens and obtain your quote as you're used to obtaining it, but without having to rekey any duplicate information. Now, it's also very key for reporting features, because Appulate does have reporting features that you bring any quotes that are obtained outside of the Appulate system and put them back into Appulate so that your reports for any purposes that you need later on, they will be accurate. That is an e-submission type. So we're now going to move on with the Weblink submission type. Now, Weblink submission and e-submission that you see here, these are the two additional submission types that are part of ProducerConnect Premium. Weblink does require a browser plugin, and it's actually very similar to the e-submission type, but Weblink markets are markets that we have not yet partnered with. However, we still wanted to provide the same ease of use, which is why we developed the browser plugin. However, when I hit submit, instead of a gray box popping up that says complete submission, it will just automatically launch that carrier portal and automatically log me in, screen scrape the information. It will look a little bit like a video, so you'll kind of see that going on in the background. But again, loading all of the information from the Appulate system, bridging all of the data over so you're not rekeying any duplicate data. You will simply go through and click through the screens and obtain your quote as you're used to obtaining it, but without having to rekey any information. And last but not least, the email submission type. Email submission type is available for all markets and all line of businesses. However, that market would have to accept email submission. So keep that in mind when quoting. If a market does say that it is email type of submission, make sure that that market that you're quoting with does accept email type of submission. So to initiate this particular submission type, you're going to go ahead and click submit. It's going to pop up a little send email window that you'll see here. It will bridge over all of the necessary accords or supplemental applications that you will need for that particular submission from the form section. If there's any additional documentation that you'd like to attach, feel free and do so by clicking the little upload file. You can also edit this template that you see down here. It just usually automatically populates basic information. Feel free to edit this as you please. One other key feature that I do like to point out is that you are able to time your submission. So you'll see that you'll have this little schedule submission icon right next to send. Say you're working on something, 90 days in advance, but you know that that particular market's not going to accept that email until 60 days in advance. You can schedule this particular submission to go out at an exact date and time that you select using this feature. So you don't have to come back into the system and trigger a new email. The system will automatically send it out on your behalf when you do schedule it. You'll also notice that currently right now, my email would go out on behalf of me via Appulate, and that's because I don't have my email server configured. That is one of the upgraded features of ProducerConnect Premium, is the system does allow you to configure your email server. So instead of sending this out on behalf of me via Appulate, it will go out as you. We do have folks monitoring the Appulate email address if for some reason, say an underwriter doesn't reply all in an instance. We will forward those emails to you. However, I definitely understand how important it is to get quotes in a timely manner. So having ProducerConnect Premium and being able to configure your email server is definitely worth that time lag. All right, so those are all 4 submission types, but I'm going to quickly go over a couple of things down here just to show you again how the system is live and dynamic. First, I'm going to visit the form section over again. You're going to see how this has changed quite a bit. I'm also going to go over these icons that you see here. So these are those Accord forms that we had originally seen when we first logged into the Appulate system with our Accord. You will also see that there are additional supplemental applications based off of the markets that we selected. I'm going to show you Westlake GAs as an example. We're going to go ahead and open up that one. This is that supplemental application. It is now complete per the information that you had entered within the Appulate system. So no having to rekey unnecessary data and do supplemental forms over and over again. It's really great to have that feature. You'll see that you are able to email each of these forms out if you'd like. There's also a fax feature, as well as an edit feature, which I will show you in just one second. Next is the sign feature. I do like to show this one. So again, this is all done through Adobe Signature. So if you wanted to go through and sign this, select either yourself if you're the producer or CSR, and then your applicant, an email will be sent to them to sign this document as well. We're going to go ahead and load that so I can show you exactly what that looks like. This is that Accord form. It's prepping here in just one second. Give it a second to load. All right, so this is that form. So to start, simply hit start. It'll take you to the section that does need a signature. Simply type in your signature here, hit apply, and it's now been signed. You can simply hit click to sign. It will save that document. You can download a copy of that if you'd like. As soon as you sign this, like I said, an email will be sent to your insured so that they can sign this particular supplemental application or Accord or a proposal as well, whatever you're sending them to sign. You'll also note that there will be a pen next to that particular Accord now and a time-stamped piece of information that you'll see here, so you can see exactly the date and the time and who signs that particular form. Next, I'm going to show you the edit section, which we didn't get quite to that really quickly, though. I did want to mention the send request to complete. I accidentally skipped over that, but send request to complete is another nice feature that you can use. Send request to complete does allow you to send that form to your insured to complete. So if there is information that you've already entered within that form, it will bridge over. But if, say, there is additional missing and required questions and you're having difficulty getting a hold of your insured, you can simply send it to them via email. They can answer those missing and required questions in a time that's convenient for them. As soon as they answer that information, you will be notified by email. You can log back into the Appulate system and proceed with your submission. Now back to the edit feature. All right, so I'm going to edit these kind of in a bundle. You'll see that as I select multiple forms, there will be some more icons that'll pop up here that are actually really these same ones, but we're going to go ahead and hit edit from here. This will take you to a master Q&A view of that form. In this instance, it is Accord 125. If you click through these tabs, you'll see that there may be some additional questions that come up that haven't been answered. Feel free to go through and answer them. They may not necessarily be required, but we do have a lot of agents that are incredibly thorough and do go through and answer everything. You'll also see that there's a mark all is no button. Feel free to click on that. It will answer mark all is no to that particular section. You'll also notice that next to Q&A is the inline view. I do have a lot of agents who like the inline view. This is the view of the form as you may view it. in your agency management system, you can click through and edit any particular section that has a pencil next to it. So if you prefer this way, the view of the form itself, feel free to use the inline feature as well. Really quickly, I'm going to head back to our activity section. Again, like I said earlier, the system is live and dynamic. So as you make changes, as activities occur, it does log everything within the system. So this is a full timestamp log of everything that has occurred with a submission thus far. All right. So I'm just going to go back to our Q&A section. I'm going to show you really quickly how to look at selected markets and add additional markets if you'd like. Selected markets are markets that you have already moved over from available to selected. Now, Appulate does not step in the middle of any appointment processes. So if a market requires an appointment, you will need to go to that market directly in order to obtain that appointment. Same goes with any commissions conversations. You know, Appulate is a technology company. We do not sell insurance directly. So any commissions conversations or appointment processes will need to occur directly with that market. But again, these are coming from our available market list. And I'm just going to show you really quickly how to move over a market from selected to available. We'll take 5-star as an example. You'll see there's a little plus sign next to each market that you see here. Say we just want to move 5-star over, simply hit the plus sign. It will then move itself over from available to selected. You can go through and set your appointments that you already have directly within the system. All right. So that is our training for today. I'm going to head actually back over to our PowerPoint and head through a couple of slides. I do also want to point out that we do have e-learning available in the system. If you go underneath the Help tab, you'll see training underneath there as an option in that drop-down menu. The training is for ProducerConnect Standard, so it is the free version of Appulate. So it's a lot shorter. It's a lot more limited. What I showed you today is ProducerConnect Premium, so you have a lot more options. As well as underneath that same drop-down menu in the Help tab, you'll see the video tutorial section, and that is an absolute wealth of knowledge. Feel free to view any of those videos as many times as you want. This webinar will also be uploaded to that particular section today. I did mention earlier, we went over just a little bit, we do have our market directory, which you can view. I also recommend viewing your settings for the emails that you receive via Appulate. You know, when we add various markets or we have press releases for certain markets or new features that start up in Appulate, those do come through our email subscription. So check and view and see what your subscriptions are, add any additional ones that you'd like as well. We also have a section through the Appulate website where you can view any upcoming webinars. Feel free to attend any future webinars. And one other thing I want to highlight is Appulate Connect. This is actually the first year we're going to be inviting agents. We're very excited. Appulate Connect is our event that we're going to be having next year in Westlake Village, California. Agent Day is going to be on March 26th. We would love to see you all there. Space is limited and it's filling up very quickly. We also have a kind of early bird registration going on right now, or if you sign up before December 31st, you are saving $100. So please, please, please reserve your spots because we will run out of space for this. Just simply go to AppulateConnect.com and sign up. You can also view the schedule so you can see what conversations are going to be going on that day, what folks are going to be speaking. We have a very full, very exciting day. I can't wait to meet you all there. We also have location and lodging information available. All right, so I'm going to go through and actually open it up to questions. I'm going to leave this screen up. This is my contact information. I think we do have a couple of questions. So hang on just a minute. I think we have quite a few. All right, so we did have a question. Interested in getting appointed through Appulate. Please review. Like I said, Appulate is a technology company. We don't require any appointments, but as far as any appointments go for markets, you will need to go to that market directly. If you have additional questions or have any issues, please feel free to email me at agentambassador@appulate.com. I'm just reviewing the questions, so give me just a second. Is there a list of available markets that are compatible with Appulate? That's a great question. Yes, you can go to appulate.com and then click on the ProducerConnect tab. About halfway down underneath key features, it will actually have a hyperlink that says market directories. Feel free to click on that. It will give you an overview of Appulate, as well as break down again all 4 submission types, as well as give you the list of markets broken down by line of business, and you can see what markets participate in ProducerConnect Standard and what markets participate in ProducerConnect Premium. You can also take a look at the markets when you're in the Appulate system underneath the Markets tab. All right, so someone else did ask, how are the last run request letters incorporated the insured signature? Like I said, everything is done through Adobe Signature. So once you send out that email that had popped up, that email will be sent directly to your insured. They will then sign it and it will automatically be sent out to the carrier that you're requesting loss runs from. Another good question. So someone asked if a proposal is sent out via Outlook or Appulate directly. You can actually do it either way. If you have your email configured, it will go out as you, it will not be on behalf of you. However, if you didn't have your email configured and you were sending out any document, whether it's a proposal or a form or what have you, it will go out on behalf of you via Appulate. So it's one of the many reasons to upgrade to ProducerConnect Premium, because when you do have that option to configure your email server, and those emails can go out as you. Someone actually did ask a question about the correspondence being uploaded, so emails being uploaded automatically into your agency management system. Appulate is not backwards compatible. However, anything in your agency management system, as far as the court information or client information, can be bridged over into the Appulate system. But any correspondence that would happen in the Appulate system, it's not going to automatically load back into your agency management system. You will want to enter those communications into your agency management system separately. Just reviewing the questions, so hang on just one second. I am getting several questions about pricing. Please email me directly, agentambassador@appulate.com. I will be happy to address any pricing questions one by one. Like I said, it is tiered basing, so I need to know a little bit more about your agency. So feel free to email me any questions regarding pricing directly. All right, so I had a question about markets that we've partnered with and them agreeing to appoint agents that use Appulate. Like I said, any appointment processes or requirements that will need to occur with that market directly. Appulate has no sway or decision on appointments. So if there are any appointment requirements, those will have to be met with that market directly.
This is Vanessa. I just wanted to chime in here. There are some markets that have an open brokerage model, so you will be able to submit to them, and even some of those that have an instant quote, perhaps even get an instant quote back. However, if they do require an appointment, or if they want you to be appointed with them at the time of bind, that is all done directly between you and your market.
Thanks, Vanessa. I appreciate that. And one of the final questions I have is Appulate compatible with EasyLinks? Yes, Appulate is complementary to any agency management system, EasyLinks being one of them. I have many agents that I talk to who use EasyLinks. You are able to bridge over information from that system into the Appulate system. All right, well, I'm gonna leave my contact information up here for just a couple of extra seconds, but if there are no additional questions, I will go ahead and thank you all for attending. I really appreciate your time. This webinar will be loaded to our YouTube channel, Appulate Inc., as well as available on the website. by the end of the day underneath the training webinars. If you would like a copy of this and you wanted me to email it to you directly, please feel free to request that at agentambassador@appulate.com, and I will send that over to you. But again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.